The Alien War Council gathered in their crystalline chamber, their multiple eyes fixed on the holographic display showing Earth's blue marble spinning slowly in space. Commander Zextai clicked his mandibles in satisfaction as he reviewed the final preparations for humanity's extinction. "The toxin deployment is ready," announced Science Officer Velnara, her silver carapace gleaming under the chamber's bioluminescent lighting. "Our chemists have created the most potent nerve agent in galactic history. One breath will shut down any carbon-based nervous system within seconds." The council murmured their approval through clicking sounds and harmonic vibrations. For 3 cycles, they had studied human biology, dissecting captured specimens and analyzing their weakest points. Humans were remarkably fragile compared to most sentient species: soft skin, single hearts, primitive immune systems. It would be almost too easy. "Show me the compound structure," Zextai commanded. A holographic display shifted to show complex molecular chains. Velnara gestured with one of her 4 arms. "We call it death mist. It attacks the neural pathways that control breathing and heart function. The humans will experience complete respiratory collapse followed by cardiac arrest. Even their strongest warriors will fall within moments." Admiral Korthaz, the military strategist, leaned forward on his 6 legs. "Our intelligence indicates they have a military installation called Fort Braxton that houses their elite soldiers. If we can eliminate these so-called special forces, the rest of their resistance will crumble like dried leaves." "Excellent," Zextai said. "Begin with their strongest. When their champions fall gasping and choking, the remaining humans will surrender without firing a shot." On Earth, Staff Sergeant Marcus Rivera finished his morning run around the base perimeter. Sweat dripped from his weathered face as he checked his watch. 6 miles in 38 minutes, not bad for a Tuesday. At 32, Marcus had spent 12 years in the army, the last 6 with the Special Forces. He had survived 3 deployments in hostile territories, earned a Purple Heart, and could speak 4 languages fluently. What made Marcus truly exceptional, though nobody knew it yet, was his unique genetic makeup. His great-grandmother had been exposed to industrial chemicals during World War II while working in a munitions factory. The exposure had triggered beneficial mutations that were passed down through generations, giving Marcus and a small percentage of humans an extraordinary resistance to toxins. Marcus grabbed a protein bar from his locker and headed to the briefing room where his team was gathering. Alpha Squad consisted of 8 highly trained operators, each with specialized skills that made them nearly unstoppable in combat situations. "Morning, Sergeant," called out Corporal Jenkins, a communications expert who could hack into almost any system. "Heard we might have some excitement today. When don't we?" Marcus replied, settling into his chair as Captain Morrison entered the room. Captain Morrison was a no-nonsense leader with steel-gray eyes and 20 years of military experience. She commanded respect through competence rather than rank, and every soldier under her command would follow her into hell if she asked. "Gentlemen, we have a developing situation," Morrison began, activating the room's main display. Satellite imagery showed strange atmospheric disturbances over major population centers worldwide. Intelligence suggests we're dealing with an extraterrestrial threat. Something is preparing to deploy an unknown substance into our atmosphere. Specialist Brooks, their demolitions expert, whistled low. "Aliens? For real this time?" "As real as it gets," Morrison confirmed. "NASA and the CDC are working together to analyze the preliminary data, but early reports suggest some kind of chemical weapon designed to target human biology specifically." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Marcus studied the satellite feeds, noting the precise patterns of the atmospheric disturbances. Whatever was coming had been planned with scientific precision. "What's our mission, ma'am?" asked Private First Class Thompson, their sniper. "Right now, we're on standby," Morrison replied. "But I want everyone ready for immediate deployment. If this is what we think it is, we might be humanity's first line of defense." High above Earth's atmosphere, the alien fleet moved into position. 50 massive ships, each the size of a city block, carried enough death mist to blanket the entire planet. The deployment would be swift and efficient, a demonstration of superior technology that would end human resistance before it could begin. Zextai watched the final preparations from his flagship's command center. "Deploy the atmospheric processors," he ordered. Velnara's fingers danced over bioluminescent controls. Processors launched. The death mist will reach breathable atmosphere in precisely 17 minutes. Monitor all major population centers, Korthaz added. I want real-time reports on casualty rates. The humans must understand the futility of resistance. As the alien processors descended through Earth's upper atmosphere, they began releasing massive clouds of the engineered toxin. The greenish gas was virtually invisible to human eyes but would prove absolutely lethal to their respiratory systems, or so the aliens believed. At Fort Braxton, alarms began screaming throughout the base. Marcus and his team rushed to the windows, watching as strange green wisps began drifting down from the clear morning sky. The base's chemical detection systems were going haywire, registering toxicity levels that should have been impossible. Gas masks! Morrison shouted, but, even as the soldiers reached for their protective equipment, they knew it might already be too late. The mysterious substance was seeping through every crack and ventilation system. Marcus felt the first wisps of the alien toxin enter his lungs. According to every projection, he should have been dead within seconds. Instead, he paused and took a deeper breath, his enhanced genetic markers already working to neutralize what should have been certain death. "That's weird," he said aloud, causing his teammates to stare at him in horror. They expected to see him collapse, convulsing as his nervous system shut down. "Sergeant, get your mask on!" Jenkins yelled, his own voice muffled by protective gear. Marcus tilted his head, considering the sensation in his lungs. The green gas had a distinct smell, something familiar yet unexpected. He took another deliberate breath, analyzing the chemical signature his enhanced genetics were helping him process. "Is that mint?" he asked, his voice carrying a note of genuine curiosity rather than panic. The other soldiers stared in disbelief. Marcus stood completely unaffected, breathing normally while surrounded by a toxin that should have killed him instantly. His question hung in the air like a challenge to everything the aliens thought they knew about human biology. Morrison grabbed her radio, her voice urgent as she contacted Base Command. "This is Alpha Squad. We have a situation in Building 7. Sergeant Rivera appears to be immune to the chemical agent. Repeat, we may have found natural immunity." Above the Earth, Velnara's monitoring systems were registering impossible readings. "Commander, there's an anomaly at the military installation. One human is not responding to the death mist as predicted." Zextai's mandibles clicked in irritation. "Impossible. Our testing was thorough. No carbon-based life form can survive direct exposure to that concentration." "The readings are confirmed, sir. The human is not only surviving but appears completely unaffected." Marcus removed his gas mask entirely, ignoring the horrified gasps from his teammates. The green mist swirled around him harmlessly, and he could indeed detect what seemed like a minty freshness to the alien weapon. "You know what this smells like," he said to his squad. "Remember those breath mints we used to get in the MREs? The terrible ones that tasted like medicine?" Thompson stared at him through his mask's visor. "Sergeant, you're breathing alien death gas and comparing it to candy?" "Pretty much, yeah." Marcus took another deep breath and felt his enhanced genetics continuing to process and neutralize the toxin. "Whatever they're trying to do to us, it's not working. At least not on me." Morrison was already coordinating with medical teams and scientists. If Marcus had natural immunity, there might be others. And if there were others, humanity might have a fighting chance against whatever alien force was trying to exterminate them. The aliens had made their first critical error in understanding human biology. They had tested their weapon on normal humans, unaware that genetic diversity and evolution had created individuals capable of surviving their most potent toxin. Marcus Rivera, a soldier from a small Texas town who had never considered himself particularly special, had just become humanity's greatest hope for survival. And, all because his great-grandmother had worked in a chemical factory 8 decades earlier. The war for Earth's survival had begun, and the first battle had ended with a human soldier asking if alien death gas contained mint flavoring. The galaxy's most feared biological weapon had been reduced to a curiosity, and, somewhere in the depths of space, an alien war council was about to learn that humans were far more resilient than they had ever imagined. As Marcus stood surrounded by the harmless green mist, breathing easily while his teammates remained protected behind masks and filters, he couldn't help but smile. The aliens had brought their worst weapon to Earth, expecting immediate victory. Instead, they had just given him what felt like the universe's most expensive breath mint. Dr. Sarah Chen rushed through the corridors of the CDC's Emergency Response Center in Atlanta, her tablet displaying impossible data that changed everything humanity thought it knew about biological warfare. The readings from Fort Braxton were unlike anything in scientific literature. A human being had survived direct exposure to an unknown alien toxin with no protective equipment whatsoever. Director Walsh, you need to see this immediately. Sarah burst into the command center, where government officials and military leaders huddled around massive displays showing global contamination patterns. Director Walsh, a veteran of biological crisis management, looked up from satellite feeds showing the alien gas spreading across major cities. Dr. Chen, unless you're telling me you found a cure in the last 30 minutes, we have bigger problems. Sir, that's exactly what I'm telling you. We have a soldier at Fort Braxton who's completely immune. Staff Sergeant Marcus Rivera has been breathing the alien weapon for 40 minutes with no adverse effects. The room fell silent except for the humming of computer systems processing data from around the world. General Harrison, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, stepped forward with his weathered face creased in concentration. Doctor, explain to me how that's possible when our best estimates suggested this toxin would kill every human on Earth within hours. Sarah activated the main display, showing Marcus's vital signs transmitted from Fort Braxton's medical sensors. His heart rate is normal, oxygen saturation is perfect, and brain function shows no signs of neural disruption. Whatever the aliens created, his body is processing it like it's harmless air freshener. At Fort Braxton, Marcus found himself the center of unprecedented scientific attention. Medical teams had arrived within an hour, turning the base's medical facility into an impromptu research laboratory. He sat on an examination table while Dr. Martinez drew what felt like his 20th blood sample of the day. How are you feeling, Sergeant? Dr. Martinez asked, labeling another vial of blood that would soon be rushed to laboratories across the country. Like I've been turned into a human pin cushion, Marcus replied, watching the doctor work with practiced efficiency. But, seriously, Doc, I feel fine. Better than fine, actually. That stuff they're pumping into the air has me feeling more alert than I've been in months. Outside the medical facility, his squad members waited for updates while monitoring global news reports. The situation was dire. Major cities worldwide were reporting mass casualties as the alien toxin spread through population centers. Military installations that had been targeted first were reporting catastrophic losses, except for isolated cases like Fort Braxton. Corporal Jenkins burst through the medical facility doors, his face pale with a mixture of fear and excitement. Sergeant, you need to hear this. We just got word from bases across the country. There are others. Dr. Martinez looked up from his blood analysis equipment. Others who survived exposure? 17 confirmed cases so far, Jenkins reported, reading from his tablet. All military personnel, all with similar reactions to Sergeant Rivera. They're calling it mint immunity because they all describe the same minty smell and complete lack of symptoms. Marcus slid off the examination table, his mind already processing the implications. 17 soldiers out of how many exposed? Thousands, Jenkins replied grimly. But that's not the weird part. Every single immune person has been traced back to families with industrial chemical exposure sometime between 1940 and 1960. Your great-grandmother, Private William's grandfather who worked in pesticide manufacturing, Lieutenant Cooper's great-aunt who was exposed to experimental compounds during World War II. The pieces were falling into place. Dr. Martinez pulled up genetic mapping data on his computer, cross-referencing the immune soldiers' family histories with known chemical exposures from decades past. Incredible, he muttered, studying the genetic markers. Environmental pressures from industrial chemicals triggered beneficial mutations that lay dormant for generations. You're not just immune, you're evolved. On the alien flagship, panic was spreading through the command structure faster than their weapon had spread through Earth's atmosphere. Commander Zextai paced the bridge while his scientific advisors tried to explain the impossible readings flooding their sensors. 17 confirmed survivors and, the number is growing, Science Officer Velnara reported, her voice carrying notes of disbelief. Our weapon is having zero effect on a specific subset of their population. Admiral Cortez studied the tactical displays with growing concern. How is this possible? Our biological experts assured us that no carbon-based lifeform could survive death mist exposure. Their species is more genetically diverse than we anticipated, Velnara explained, manipulating holographic displays to show human DNA variations. It appears that environmental pressures on their world triggered adaptive mutations. Some humans carry genetic sequences that neutralize our toxin completely. Zextai's mandibles clicked in frustration. In 3 centuries of conquest, the Zephyrian Empire had never encountered a species that could biologically adapt to their most powerful weapons. Every previous civilization had fallen to death mist deployment within hours. What percentage of their population carries this immunity? He demanded. Current estimates suggest less than 1%, Valnara replied. But, that's still approximately 75 million individuals worldwide. The number hung in the air like a death sentence for the alien invasion plans. 75 million humans who could survive their ultimate weapon, more than enough to mount effective resistance. Back on Earth, Marcus was suiting up for humanity's first counterattack. Military leaders had quickly realized that immune soldiers represented their only hope for meaningful retaliation. While the majority of human civilization struggled to survive in sealed bunkers and filtered environments, the immune few could operate freely in the contaminated atmosphere. Alpha Squad, listen up, Captain Morrison addressed the assembled soldiers in Fort Braxton's briefing room. Marcus and 2 other immune members of his unit sat alongside volunteers from across the country who had been rapidly transported to the base. Intelligence has located what appears to be an alien ground installation 30 miles north of here, Morrison continued, indicating a position on the tactical map. Satellite imagery suggests they're using it to coordinate the atmospheric deployment. Your mission is reconnaissance and, if possible, disruption of their operations. Lieutenant Sarah Cooper, one of the 17 immune soldiers, raised her hand. Ma'am, what kind of resistance should we expect? Unknown, Morrison replied honestly. We're dealing with technology and biology we don't understand. But what we do know is that you people are the only ones who can breathe outside protective gear. That gives us an enormous tactical advantage. Marcus studied the mission parameters on his tablet, noting the sophisticated equipment they'd been assigned. Advanced communication gear, experimental weapons designed to interface with alien technology, and medical sensors that would monitor their responses to any new toxins they might encounter. Permission to speak freely, ma'am, Marcus said, standing to address the room. We're about to become the first humans to engage an extraterrestrial enemy in direct combat. That's either the worst job in history or the best one, depending on how you look at it. Nervous laughter rippled through the assembled soldiers. Despite the gravity of their situation, Marcus's comment reminded them all that they were making history with every breath they took in the contaminated air. Dr. Chen's voice crackled through the communication system from CDC headquarters. All immune personnel, we need you to understand something critical. Your genetic immunity appears to be adapting in real time. Blood samples taken this morning show enhanced production of specific enzymes that break down the alien toxin. You're not just surviving, you're evolving to become more resistant with each exposure. The implications were staggering. Marcus and his fellow immune soldiers weren't just survivors, they were representatives of humanity's next evolutionary step, triggered by alien biological warfare. Doc, are you telling us we're becoming superhuman? Asked Private Williams, whose grandfather had survived chemical exposure during the Korean War. I'm telling you that human adaptability is beyond anything the aliens calculated, Dr. Chen replied. Your immune systems are learning to process their weapons so efficiently that prolonged exposure might actually make you stronger. The alien ground installation sat like a metallic tumor on the landscape 30 miles north of Fort Braxton. Towering spires reached toward the sky, constantly releasing streams of death mist that should have made the surrounding area uninhabitable to human life. Instead, Marcus and his team approached through the green-tinged atmosphere with nothing more than standard combat gear. Visual contact with the perimeter, Marcus reported into his radio, studying the alien structure through his rifle scope. Whatever they built here, it's bigger than satellite images suggested. The installation covered nearly square mile, with multiple buildings connected by elevated walkways. Alien technology hummed with energy that made the air itself vibrate, and Marcus could see movement through translucent walls as the extraterrestrial occupants went about their work. Sergeant, I'm getting some weird readings on my equipment, reported Specialist Brooks, monitoring electronic emissions from the alien facility. They're broadcasting on frequencies that shouldn't be possible with known physics. Marcus motioned for his team to establish an observation post behind a ridge overlooking the installation. As they settled into position, he breathed deeply of the contaminated air and felt the same minty freshness that had first alerted him to his immunity. Command, this is Alpha Squad, he transmitted. We have eyes on the target. Alien installation is fully operational with multiple structures and confirmed enemy presence. Requesting permission to proceed with close reconnaissance. The response came through clearly despite the alien electromagnetic interference. Alpha Squad, you are authorized for reconnaissance. Priority intelligence, any information about additional weapon systems or deployment capabilities. As Marcus and his team prepared to move closer to humanity's first encounter with active alien technology, he couldn't help but reflect on the strange path that had brought him to this moment. A factory worker's chemical exposure 8 decades ago had created the genetic foundation for his immunity. Now that immunity might be the key to saving human civilization from extraterrestrial conquest. The aliens had brought their most powerful weapon to Earth, expecting swift victory. Instead, they had triggered an evolutionary response that created the very soldiers who would challenge their invasion. Marcus checked his weapon one final time and signaled his team to advance toward the alien installation. Somewhere in the distance, he could hear the faint sound of alien machinery working to produce more death mist, not knowing that each breath of their weapon only made him stronger. The second phase of humanity's survival had begun. Marcus crept through the alien installation's outer perimeter, his enhanced genetics allowing him to process not just the death mist but also subtler chemical markers that revealed the extraterrestrials' biological signatures. The facility sprawled before him like a city designed by insectoid minds, organic curves and geometric precision blended into architecture that seemed to breathe with its own life. Alpha Squad, maintain radio silence unless emergency, Marcus whispered into his comm unit before switching to hand signals for his team. Lieutenant Cooper flanked him on the left while Private Williams covered their rear approach. Each step took them deeper into territory where no human had ever walked. The first alien structure loomed 30 feet overhead, its surface shifting between metallic silver and deep purple as built-in sensors tracked the intruders. Marcus pressed himself against the structure's base, feeling vibrations through the alien material that suggested massive machinery operating within. Through a translucent section of wall, he could see the aliens themselves for the first time. They stood nearly 7 feet tall, with 4 arms and insectoid features that moved with disturbing grace. Their bodies were covered in natural armor that gleamed with moisture, and their large compound eyes tracked movement with predatory focus. Jesus, Williams breathed nearly silently, catching sight of an alien technician manipulating floating holographic controls. They looked like someone mixed a praying mantis with a crab. Cooper pointed toward a larger structure deeper in the facility where streams of death mist were being generated and pumped into massive atmospheric processors. The scale of the operation was staggering. Enough toxic gas to contaminate entire continents was being produced around the clock. Marcus activated his tactical camera, recording everything for intelligence analysis. The aliens' technology operated on principles that human science barely understood, but he could identify what appeared to be power sources, manufacturing equipment, and communication arrays. A sudden harmonious vibration filled the air, and the alien workers began moving with increased urgency. Marcus realized they were responding to some kind of alarm system, though he couldn't identify what had triggered it. Movement, Cooper signaled, pointing toward a group of aliens approaching their position. Unlike the technicians they'd observed, these newcomers carried what were unmistakably weapons, crystalline devices that hummed with dangerous energy. The patrol moved past their hiding spot, but one alien stopped and began testing the air with complex sensory organs. Marcus held his breath, realizing that his immunity to their weapons might not extend to their detection capabilities. The alien warrior's compound eyes suddenly fixed on their position with terrifying precision. It released a series of clicking sounds that were clearly an alarm call, and the entire facility began responding to the threat alert. "We're blown," Marcus transmitted, abandoning stealth for speed. "Alpha Squad, execute and evade." The team burst from cover as crystalline weapon fire began superheating the air around them. Marcus felt the energy bolts pass close enough to singe his uniform, but his enhanced genetics were already adapting to process trace amounts of exotic radiation from the alien weapons. Williams deployed a smoke grenade that filled the area with dense cover, but the aliens seemed capable of seeing through the obscuration using non-visual senses. Their coordinated response suggested a level of tactical sophistication that matched or exceeded human military doctrine. "Sergeant, they're herding us toward the main facility," Cooper observed, noting how the alien fire was driving them deeper into the installation rather than simply trying to eliminate them. Marcus realized she was right. The aliens weren't trying to kill them, they were trying to capture specimens for study. The implications were chilling, but also revealed a crucial weakness in alien thinking. They still viewed humans as experimental subjects rather than legitimate threats. "Brooks, what's the status on that demo charge?" Marcus called to his demolitions expert as they took cover behind an alien transport vehicle. 30 seconds to completion, Brooks replied, his hands flying over the explosive device he'd been assembling since they entered the facility. But, Sergeant, this alien tech is interfering with the timer mechanism. I might have to trigger it manually. The sound of alien reinforcements approaching made the decision clear. Manual detonation would be a suicide mission, but it might also cripple the facility's ability to produce more death mist. Negative on manual trigger, Marcus commanded. We're extracting with intel intact. Brooks, plant the charge on automatic timer and, let's move. As they prepared to break from cover, Marcus noticed something extraordinary happening to his body chemistry. The exotic radiation from alien weapons wasn't just harmless, his enhanced genetics were converting it into a form of energy that made him faster and stronger than normal human limits. He vaulted over the alien transport with superhuman agility, drawing surprised clicking sounds from their pursuers. The same mutations that made him immune to death mist were apparently capable of adapting to multiple forms of alien attack. Alpha Squad, this is Command, came the urgent transmission through their comm units. Satellite intelligence shows alien reinforcements converging on your position from orbit. You have approximately 12 minutes before their main force arrives. Marcus led his team through the facility's maze-like structure, using his enhanced senses to detect alien patrol patterns. The death mist that filled the installation was actually helping him navigate by providing chemical trails that revealed where aliens had been operating. Sergeant, I'm picking up human life signs, Cooper reported, checking her scanner readings. Multiple individuals, approximately 200 meters northeast of our position. The discovery changed everything. If the aliens were holding human prisoners, the mission had just become a rescue operation. Marcus weighed their options: extract safely with valuable intelligence, or risk everything to save fellow humans who might be undergoing alien experimentation. Alpha Squad, we're going after those life signs, he decided. Brooks, how much demo do you have left? Enough to make a statement, Brooks grinned, patting his remaining explosive charges. What did you have in mind? Marcus studied the facility's layout on his tactical display, identifying structural weak points that could create maximum disruption with minimal explosives. The aliens had built their installation with remarkable sophistication, but they'd apparently never considered the possibility of humans operating freely within a death mist environment. We're going to hit their production facility while we extract the prisoners, Marcus explained. Cooper, Williams, you're with me on rescue. Brooks, give us chaos in the manufacturing sector. As they prepared to split up for the complex operation, Marcus caught sight of something that made his blood run cold. Through the translucent walls of a nearby structure, he could see human figures suspended in some kind of crystalline matrix while alien scientists performed procedures on them. The prisoners weren't just being held, they were being experimented on with surgical precision that suggested the aliens were trying to understand human immunity. Some of the suspended figures showed signs of having been exposed to massive doses of death mist while monitoring equipment recorded their biological responses. Command, this is Alpha Squad, Marcus transmitted. We have confirmed human prisoners undergoing alien experimentation. Changing mission parameters to extraction and rescue. The response was immediate and grim. Alpha Squad, orbital surveillance shows massive alien reinforcements approaching. You have 7 minutes before overwhelming enemy presence. Marcus felt his enhanced genetics surge with adrenaline and something else, a new form of energy that seemed to be generated by his body's interaction with the alien environment. He was becoming something beyond human normal parameters, evolved in real time to meet an extraterrestrial threat. Brooks, initiate demolition sequence, he ordered. Cooper, Williams, we're going in hard and fast. The first explosions echoed through the facility as Brooks's charges began systematically destroying the death mist production equipment. Alien alarm systems screamed with sounds that seemed to bypass human hearing and vibrate directly through their bones. Marcus kicked through the entrance to the experimentation facility, his enhanced strength easily overcoming alien security measures designed to contain normal humans. Inside, dozens of his fellow soldiers hung suspended in crystalline pods while alien medical equipment monitored their vital signs. Get them out of there, he ordered, moving to the nearest pod containing a female Air Force pilot whose uniform identified her as Captain Martinez from Nellis Air Force Base. Cooper began working on the alien release mechanisms while Williams established a defensive perimeter. The pods were clearly designed to maintain prisoners in a state of suspended consciousness while alien scientists studied their biological responses to various stimuli. "Sergeant, these control systems are like nothing I've seen," Cooper reported, her hands moving over flowing liquid interfaces that responded to touch with bioluminescent patterns. "I think I'm getting the hang of it, but it's going to take time to release everyone." Through the facility's translucent walls, Marcus could see alien reinforcements pouring into the installation. Their window of opportunity was shrinking rapidly, but abandoning the human prisoners wasn't an option. "How many captives total?" he asked, scanning the rows of suspension pods. 43 confirmed, Williams replied. "All military personnel from the initial gas attacks. The aliens have been studying immune individuals to understand how our resistance works." The implications were terrifying. If the aliens learned to counter human immunity, they could develop new weapons that would eliminate even the genetically enhanced survivors. The prisoners weren't just victims, they were the key to alien victory or defeat. Marcus felt his enhanced genetics surge again, processing alien environmental factors and converting them into increased physical capabilities. He was becoming something new with every breath of the contaminated air, every exposure to alien technology. "Command, Alpha Squad," he transmitted. "We're initiating prisoner extraction with 43 souls on board. Requesting immediate air support for extraction." The response crackled through interference from alien jamming systems. "Alpha Squad, air support is inbound, but alien orbital platforms are interfering with approach vectors. You're going to have to get to Extraction Zone Charlie on foot." Extraction Zone Charlie was 3 miles from the facility through terrain that would soon be crawling with alien forces. Carrying 43 unconscious prisoners over the distance would be impossible under normal circumstances. But Marcus was beginning to understand that normal circumstances no longer applied to him or his fellow immune soldiers. They were evolving in real time, becoming something that could challenge alien superiority through pure human adaptability. The first prisoner pods began opening with hissing releases of alien preservation gases. Captain Martinez's eyes fluttered open, immediately alert despite having been unconscious for days. "Soldier, can you walk?" Marcus asked, helping her stand on unsteady legs. "Give me a weapon and I'll run," she replied, her voice hoarse but determined. "Those things have been studying us like lab rats. It's time to return the favor." As more prisoners awakened and equipped themselves with alien weapons they'd learned to use during captivity, Marcus realized that the rescue mission had just become something much more significant. They weren't just escaping, they were launching humanity's first organized counterattack against an alien invasion force. The evacuation from the alien facility became humanity's first coordinated assault against extraterrestrial forces. Marcus led 46 soldiers, his original team plus 43 rescued prisoners, through terrain that should have been impossible to traverse while under hostile alien fire. But something extraordinary was happening to every human who had survived prolonged exposure to the death mist environment. Captain Martinez moved with superhuman speed and precision, wielding captured alien weapons with intuitive understanding that defied explanation. "Sergeant Rivera," she called out while providing covering fire for their advancing column, "whatever those things did to us in those pods, it's made us stronger." Marcus felt the same enhancement coursing through his system. His reflexes were faster than human normal, his strength had increased beyond natural limits, and his ability to process multiple environmental threats simultaneously was approaching artificial intelligence levels of efficiency. "All immune personnel," he broadcast over their communication network, "sound off with status and capabilities." The responses revealed the scope of human adaptation. Private Thompson reported enhanced vision that allowed him to see alien energy signatures through solid matter. Lieutenant Cooper had developed the ability to interface directly with alien technology through touch. Sergeant Williams discovered he could hear alien communications and understand their harmonic language patterns. "Command, this is Alpha Squad," Marcus transmitted as they approached the extraction zone while alien forces converged from multiple directions. "We're not just immune anymore. Whatever their experiments did to us, we're exhibiting enhanced capabilities across all operational parameters." The response from Base Command carried notes of amazement and concern. "Alpha Squad, genetic analysis of your blood samples is showing impossible results. Your DNA is rewriting itself in real time to incorporate beneficial mutations. Medical teams are calling it directed evolution." 3 miles overhead, alien orbital platforms tracked the human extraction with growing alarm. Commander Zextai reviewed tactical displays that showed impossible combat performance from what should have been a small group of primitive soldiers. Science Officer Velnara, he commanded, his mandibles clicking with frustrated agitation, explain to me how our prisoners have become more dangerous after prolonged exposure to our weapons. Velnara manipulated holographic displays showing real-time biological readings from the escaping humans. Commander, their genetic sequences are incorporating elements from our technology. The death mist exposure combined with our experimental procedures appears to have triggered unprecedented adaptive evolution. They're becoming hybrid entities, Admiral Korthaz observed with professional respect for an enemy that was proving far more formidable than anticipated. Carbon-based biology enhanced with our technological interfaces. It should be impossible. Sir, Velnara reported with clear alarm in her harmonic voice, if this adaptation spreads to their general population, they could become more advanced than our own species within a few generations. The implications hung in the alien command center like a death sentence. The Zephyrian Empire had accidentally triggered the evolution of humanity into something that could potentially challenge their technological supremacy across the galaxy. On Earth's surface, Marcus and his enhanced team reached the extraction zone just as human aircraft arrived to provide air support. But, instead of immediately boarding the rescue helicopters, the immune soldiers formed a defensive perimeter that demonstrated capabilities no human military had ever possessed. Private Thompson called out alien aircraft positions that were invisible to normal sensors. Lieutenant Cooper interfaced with captured alien weapons to create coordinated fire patterns that overwhelmed extraterrestrial defensive systems. The rescue operation became a demonstration of human enhancement that redefined the entire conflict. Alpha Squad, this is General Harrison, came the communication from the highest levels of military command. What I'm seeing on these tactical displays is impossible. Are you certain you're still human? Marcus considered the question while using enhanced reflexes to dodge alien energy weapons and return fire with precision that exceeded computer targeting systems. His team moved with coordination that seemed telepathic, each member anticipating the other's actions with supernatural accuracy. Sir, we're human, he replied, but we're something more now. Whatever the aliens did to us, whatever their weapon triggered in our genetics, we're becoming what humanity needs to be to survive this invasion. The extraction helicopters loaded all 46 enhanced soldiers while alien ground forces converged on their position. As they lifted off, Marcus watched the alien installation burning from Brooks's demolition charges and realized they had accomplished something unprecedented in military history. Command, Alpha Squad extraction complete, he reported. Facility destroyed, intelligence gathered, prisoners rescued. But, more importantly, we've confirmed that prolonged alien weapon exposure creates enhanced human capabilities rather than casualties. Dr. Chen's voice crackled through the communication system from CDC headquarters. All enhanced personnel, we need immediate debriefing and medical analysis. What you've become represents the next stage of human evolution, triggered by hostile alien contact. As the helicopters flew back toward Fort Braxton, Marcus looked at his fellow enhanced soldiers and saw the future of humanity reflected in their faces. They carried alien weapons with natural proficiency, communicated through enhanced senses that approached telepathy, and demonstrated physical capabilities that exceeded normal human limitations. Captain Martinez, he said to the Air Force pilot who had become his unofficial second-in-command during the extraction, what do you remember from their experiments? Her enhanced memory provided perfect recall of details that would have been impossible for normal human consciousness to retain. They were trying to understand why we didn't die from their weapon. But every test they ran, every sample they took, made us stronger instead of weaker. They were accidentally creating super soldiers, Williams added, his enhanced hearing picking up alien communications from distant orbital platforms. And they're terrified of what we've become. The implications became clear as Marcus processed the strategic situation with his enhanced cognitive abilities. The aliens had developed the ultimate biological weapon, deployed it against humanity, and inadvertently created their own worst nightmare, humans who could not only survive alien technology but incorporate it into their own enhanced biology. At Fort Braxton, the medical facility had been transformed into a research center focused on understanding and replicating the enhanced human condition. Dr. Martinez worked around the clock analyzing blood samples that showed genetic sequences that shouldn't exist in nature. Director Walsh, she reported to the assembled government and military leadership, the enhanced soldiers aren't just immune to alien weapons. They're incorporating alien technological principles into their biology. Their neurons are developing quantum processing capabilities, their muscle fibers are strengthening beyond known limits, and their sensory organs are adapting to perceive alien energy signatures. President Morrison, who had been monitoring the situation from the White House bunker, joined the briefing via secure communication. "Doctor, are you telling me that an alien attack has accidentally triggered human evolution?" "Mr. President, I'm telling you that evolution is an inadequate term for what's happening. These soldiers are becoming something that bridges biological and technological existence. They're developing capabilities that our science says should be impossible." Marcus and his enhanced team stood in the briefing room, listening to scientists describe what they were becoming while feeling the changes continue to accelerate through their systems. Each breath of alien-contaminated air, each moment of exposure to captured extraterrestrial technology, pushed them further beyond normal human parameters. "Sir," Marcus addressed President Morrison directly, "we're ready to take this fight to them. Whatever they've made us into, we can use it to protect humanity and drive them off our world." "Sergeant, you and your people represent hope for our entire species," the president replied. "But, I need to know, are you still fighting for humanity, or have you become something else entirely?" It was the question every enhanced soldier had been asking themselves. Marcus looked at his reflection in the medical facility's mirrors and saw eyes that glowed with faint energy patterns, skin that seemed to absorb and process alien radiation, and muscle development that exceeded natural human limits. "Mr. President," he replied after careful consideration, "we're what humanity is becoming. The aliens forced evolution on us, but we're still fighting for our families, our friends, and our world. We're just doing it with capabilities they never expected us to develop." The enhanced soldiers were deployed globally within hours, coordinating with military forces worldwide to locate and neutralize alien installations. Their superhuman abilities allowed them to operate in environments that would kill normal humans, interface with alien technology, and coordinate attacks with precision that overwhelmed extraterrestrial defenses. Within 72 hours of the initial invasion, reports began flowing in from every continent. Enhanced human soldiers were successfully raiding alien facilities, rescuing captured civilians, and gathering intelligence that revealed the full scope of the extraterrestrial threat. But, more importantly, they were discovering that their enhanced genetics could be passed to other humans through controlled exposure to alien technology. The immunity that had saved them could be shared, creating an army of enhanced defenders for Earth. Commander Zextai stood before the Zephyrian High Command, delivering the report that would change galactic politics forever. "Honored speakers, our invasion of the human world has failed catastrophically. Not only have they resisted our ultimate weapon, they have incorporated it into their biology and become stronger." The ancient aliens of the High Command listened with growing alarm as Zextai described human adaptability. "They are no longer the primitive species we studied. They have become something unprecedented, biological entities capable of technological enhancement through simple exposure to our systems." "What do you recommend, Commander?" asked the eldest speaker, her voice carrying the weight of centuries of galactic conquest. "Full withdrawal from the human system," Zextai replied. "And, we recommend classifying their species as a restricted contact civilization. Given sufficient time, they may evolve beyond our ability to contain or control." As alien forces began their withdrawal from Earth's orbital space, Marcus stood with his enhanced team on Fort Braxton's observation deck, watching the extraterrestrial ships disappear into the darkness between stars. "Think they'll be back?" Captain Martinez asked, her enhanced senses tracking the alien fleet's departure trajectory. "Maybe," Marcus replied, breathing deeply of air that still carried traces of the death mist that had changed them all forever. "But, if they do come back, they'll find us ready for them." The mint-scented alien weapon continued to drift through Earth's atmosphere, but now it served a different purpose. Instead of killing humans, it was creating the enhanced defenders who would protect humanity from any future extraterrestrial threats. The galaxy's most advanced civilization had learned a fundamental truth about human nature: when faced with extinction, humans don't just survive. They evolve, adapt, and become stronger than their enemies ever imagined possible. Marcus Rivera, the soldier who had asked if alien death gas contained mint flavoring, had become the first representative of humanity's next evolutionary stage. And, somewhere in the vast darkness of space, alien civilizations were updating their databases with a new classification for Earth's inhabitants: approach with extreme caution. Species demonstrates unlimited adaptive potential. The war for humanity's survival had ended with victory, but the adventure of human evolution enhanced by alien contact had only begun.